ये सूत्रीय प्राप्त करने के लिए उपकरणों और तकनीकों के संदर्भ में अत्यधिक विचार विमर्श की आवश्यकता होती है। यह कार्यक्रम अनुसंधान के विभिन्न आयामों और प्रतिमानों की खोज की दिशा में एक प्रयास है। मॉड्यूल का उद्देश्य प्रतिभागियों की योजनाबद्ध तरीके से स्वतंत्र शोध करने, उपयुक्त और महत्वपूर्ण साहित्य समीक्षा, डिजाइन, प्रभावशाली डेटा एकत्र करने और विश्लेषण करने के से जुड़ा हुआ है। गुणवत्ता वाली पत्रिकाओं के लिए शोध पत्र तैयार करने और उनकी सहायता करने की क्षमता को बढ़ाने के लिए इस इरादे से इस कार्यक्रम को किया गया है। और आजकल जो है प्लेगरिज्म का इस्तेमाल कर जो थीसिस में जो चोरी होती है उसकी रोकथाम के लिए इस कार्यक्रम को ऑलरेडी 21 से लेकर 27 तक चलाया जाएगा। इस कॉलेज में जो स्थापना हमारे कॉलेज की है वो 1916 की है। 106 साल पुराना कॉलेज है। 1991 में जो डिग्री कॉलेज की स्थापना हो गई थी उस वक्त जो है हमारा जो है एफिलेटेड नहीं एसोसिएटेड की परिभाषा में आता था, जो विद इन द रेडियस ऑफ 16 किलोमीटर्स के में माना जाता था। उस वक्त केवल 20 कॉलेज थे। आज हमारे यहाँ बढ़ के 257 कॉलेज हो गए और अब 4 जिले और जुड़ गए, 500 से ऊपर हो गए हैं। हमारे कॉलेज के प्रबंधक जफरयाब जिलानी जो इंटरनेशनल पर्सनालिटी हैं, सभी उनको जानते हैं। उनको जो है किसी भी तारीफ की जरूरत नहीं। पिछले साल जो इसी दिन ये प्रोग्राम जो है एक कॉन्फ्रेंस कराई गई थी, उस साल बीमार हो गए थे, अभी तक वो ठीक नहीं हो पाए, लेकिन अब कुछ कुछ ठीक हो रहे हैं। तो उनकी जगह पर हमारे यहाँ जो है जनाब अतहर नबी साहब जो है जो को चेयरपर्सन की हैसियत से इस प्रोग्राम में शामिल हो रहे हैं, और हमारे को पैटर्न डॉक्टर अब्दुल कयूम साहब जो प्रिंसिपल हैं, और वाइस प्रिंसिपल डॉक्टर मोहम्मद साजिद साहब हैं। एफडी में जो कोऑर्डिनेटर्स हमारे साथ हैं जिन्होंने सहयोग किया हुआ है, डॉक्टर सुशीला हैं, डॉक्टर धर्मेंद्र है, स्टैटिस्टिक्स डिपार्टमेंट के उमा हैं नोएडा से, और हमारे बीच में जो है अलका सिंह भट्ट हैं, डॉक्टर के दुबे हैं, और डॉक्टर रश्मि सिंह हैं, और डॉक्टर शिल्पा सेठी राजस्थान से, पिछली बार शायद वो चंडीगढ़ से थे। और इसमें सबसे बड़ी जो पर्सनालिटी है प्रोफेसर आर.के. शुक्ला, जिनका विशेष योगदान है। समय समय पर ये कार्यक्रमों को कराते रहते हैं और हम लोगों का जो है मनोबल बढ़ाते रहते हैं। और सारे इसमें जो रिसोर्स पर्सन आपके इस बीच में सुनने का जिसको मौका मिलेगा, डॉक्टर रविंद्र सिंह जी हैं और होंडा जी हैं, प्रोफेसर जे.एस. सैनी साहब हैं, प्रोफेसर के त्यागी जी हैं, प्रोफेसर आर.जे. यादव हैं, डॉक्टर निशा मणि पांडे हैं, प्रोफेसर मसूद सिद्दीकी साहब अब लखनऊ यूनिवर्सिटी में आ गए हैं, और सबसे ज़्यादा रेनाउल्ड पर्सनालिटी हमारे बीच में है प्रोफेसर N.B. सिंह, जिनको हम बराबर सुनते रहते हैं। बहुत अच्छे इनके व्याख्यान होते रहते हैं, हमारे बीच में मौजूद भी हैं। और इसी साथ मैं अपनी बात को ख़त्म करता हूँ। डॉक्टर सुशील साहब को ओवर टू डॉक्टर सुशील जी।
Thank you, Dr. Dilshad Ahmed Ansari sir, for nice talk. And I would like to invite to Professor N.B.Singh sir. Please share some views regarding to this FDP.
Good evening to all of you. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to interact with this August gathering. Now, if you look at National Education Policy 2020, the Government of India has given much more emphasis on different aspects of research. And the attempts made by this institution for development of research under the program, faculty development program, is admirable, and I congratulate all the organizers for this function. Should I start my lecture or what?
Yes. You may start, sir.
Okay. not able to share it. Have you allowed me to share?
Yes, I allowed to you, sir.
I don't know why I'm not getting it. Just a moment. Hey, Choti.
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible, sir. Screen is visible, sir.
Yeah, just.
Okay, sir.
Are you able to see the full screen?
Yes, not full, sir.
Sir,
full?
you can go on the full screen option, sir.
Yeah, I'm going that way.
Yes, just below side to the right hand side, sir.
Yeah, they can. ये करो ये हाँ.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Now it is visible
Yes, 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 sir.
and I am audible also.
Yes, audible, sir.
Okay. So very good evening to all of you. As you can see from the slide, that the title of my talk is Different Aspects of Research. Before I start the real lecture, I would like to say a few things. First, research doesn't mean doing something new. Why I say the word is research. It means already the things are available in the nature and we are trying to find out in our own way, in different way, by new method, new things which is already existing. So that's why the word research is given, not the search. Education helps people to become better citizens, shows the difference between good and bad. It shows the importance of hard work and at the same time helps us grow and develop. Thus, we are able to shape a better society to live in by knowing and respecting rights, laws, and regulations. On the other hand, higher education develops the essential skills you will need in your career and working life: communication, organization, time management, teamwork, leadership, problem solving, increase earning potential. Having a degree makes you more attractive to employers you will have a greater choice of jobs and you will earn more. India has a rich tradition of education, particularly right from the antiquity. These were handed over generations to generations, either through oral or written medium. A single feature of ancient Indian civilization is that it has been molded and shaped in the course of its history more by religious than by political or economic influences. Indian educational system was developed in terms of the needs of the individual and that of the society, and therefore its efflorescence was natural. It had a definite ideal and a definite mission. The ancient Indian teachers evolved a special form of education whereby harmony was established between materialism and spiritualism, and human life thus headed towards greater perfection. Knowledge in India, in ancient India, was compiled by Vedavyas in the form of Vedic mantras into four books known as four Vedas: the Rig Vedas, Atharvedas, the Samveda, and the Yajurveda. Education is a platform in which young generations are trained and make them future ready. Education provides knowledge and skills which help the person to be employable. According to Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. We are in a knowledge driven economy which is linked with science and technology. Now, without innovative science, nothing can develop. Now, the university education is changing and changed to a large extent. The higher education system in India has grown in a remarkable way, particularly in the post-independence period, to become one of the largest systems of its kind in the world. Recognizing the above and the basic fact that the universities have to perform multiple roles like creating new knowledge, acquiring new capabilities, and producing an intelligent human resource pool through challenging teaching, research, and extension activities so as to balance both the need and the demand. Imagination, there are certain quotes which are very much linked with the research. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited, but imagination encircles the world. Every failure is a step to success. Swami Vivekananda has said, take risk in your life. If you win, you may lead, but if you fail, you may guide. Believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there is something inside you that is greater than any obstacle. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Always believe that you can do it. These principles, these quotations are very much applicable when you start doing research because research is a new venture. You may fail, you may succeed, but if you succeed, you are the leader. If you fail, you can guide others. Research is our prestige. Never compromise on your core values. Excellence is not a destination, but a journey. Creativity and innovation sometimes need inspiration from other disciplines. Excellence and creativity go hand in hand. There is a thin line of difference between confidence and arrogance. Confident people are always open to learn. Arrogance, on the other hand, stops learning. So, in research also, everybody wants to learn all the days, all the time, something new. If you can get something new from any type of person, any type of thing, please take it. In research, particularly when you are doing a PhD, set a goal, what you want to do, make a plan, get to work, stick to it, and reach the goal. Step by step, you can achieve your goal. Now, the first question is why research? Why you want to do research? There was a time. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, audible, sir.
Okay. There was a time when studies were knowledge oriented, but now the things are changing and changing fast. It has now become career oriented. However, there should be a balance between the two. Today, we have knowledge driven economy all over the world. The challenge before us as we continue to forge ahead in the knowledge driven regime of today is to transform our human capital into knowledge capital for rapid economic development, creation of wealth, well being our people, and for playing an important role in world affairs. Higher education institutions, particularly our university, are the main instruments for transforming our human resources into human capital. Today, we are living in a dynamic world where time domains and geography are rapidly shrinking, but space and opportunities are expanding with competition and innovation as the key drivers. We have also witnessed remarkable advances in science and technology, which have greatly fueled the economic growth in a rapidly globalizing world. We are in an age of transition and things are changing so fast that many people feel insecure. It is an age of progress. Progress means change, and we all need greater flexibility of mind and preparedness to face all changes while retaining our faith in that which do not change. Adaptability is essential to meet the challenge of our era, the era of science and technology, with both wisdom and courage. Science has given us vast knowledge, and this knowledge has brought us immense power. So, the backbone for a sustainable development is to understand thoroughly what is going on, and for this, one has to do research. Now, for research, research seeks the answers of number of questions like what, why, how. You have to answer, and for answering these questions, new questions, you have to do research. In the future, we will not be able to compete on the world stage with low labor cost or by exploiting vast reserves of mineral resources. We will have to compete with our brains and with our science, and this requires a lot of information and innovation. You see that when one does a research, it is expected that it will not be just a repetitive type of work. It should be something new, something novel, what we say innovative research. Research is the transformation of money into knowledge. For doing research, you require some money. So research is the transformation of money into knowledge. Innovation is the transformation of knowledge into money. You see that mobile phone, the basic principle of mobile phone came as a result of research, invested money. But now you know the basic principle of mobile phone, you can make number of changes, apps and all these things, and the prices goes as high as you can imagine. So innovation is the transformation of knowledge into money. In general, research, particularly innovative research, has been identified as a prerequisite for meaningful industrial and socio-economic development. Now, what is innovation? Everywhere, people insist that you should always do something new in research, innovative research, something new, something different, something better, something cheaper, do at a different location, do in different time frame. If you can follow all these principles, your research will be innovative research. Innovation, education, and research process, they are linked together. That is research, innovation, education, These are not just the notes, but these three are the legs for any society. Any society stands on these three aspects: research, innovation, and education. Now, first question I answered, why research? Now, next question is, what is research? The systematic, rigorous investigation of a situation or problem in order to generate new knowledge or validate existing knowledge. Any honest attempt to study a problem systematically or to add to man's knowledge of a problem may be regarded as research. The aim, as far as I can see, is the same in all sciences. Put simply and curiously, the aim is to make known something previously unknown to human being. It is to advance human knowledge, to make it more certain or better fitting. Research is a logical and systematic search for new and useful information on a particular topic. It is an investigation of finding solutions to scientific and social problems through objective and systematic analysis. It is a search for knowledge, that is, discovery of hidden truth. Here, knowledge means information about matters. Research can lead to new contribution to existing knowledge. Only through research it is possible to make progress in a field. Research is indeed civilization and determines the economic, social, and political development of a nation. The results of scientific research very often force a change in the philosophical view of problems, which extend far beyond the restricted domain of science itself. The information might be collected from different sources like experience, human being, books, journal, nature, etc. Study in depth is research. The answer to the question, what is research? Study in depth is research. Research is about exploration, discovery, and curiosity. Research is all about the questions, your questions, your readers' questions, your questions that lead to more questions, systematically collecting and analyzing information to meet the questions of the problem under study is termed research. Research attempts to explore hidden facts about something, makes way for discovery and perhaps invention, which culminates to industrial and socio-economic development. Research has not only become instrumental to development in different spheres of human endeavor, but also proactive as the major parameter for solving human problems, searching for answers to basic questions, be it science, social science, or art. Now, why research? What is research? Who is a researcher? Now, before answering this question, I will just give one example. You see that we have different category of educational institution, primary school, secondary school, colleges, and the universities known as higher education systems or higher education institution. Colleges are also under the category of higher education institution. Now, in secondary schools or even undergraduate colleges, you can have good books, textbooks, and you can teach the students. But where from those good books come? Where from the matter in those good books come? So the responsibility lies with higher education institutions. There are twofold, there is twofold responsibility of higher education institutions. One, creation of knowledge and dissemination of knowledge, that is teaching. And creation of knowledge can be achieved only by doing good research. Unless and until you do not do good research, you cannot create new knowledge and you cannot pass on to students. So the duty of higher education institution, particularly researchers and teachers, are twofold: to create new knowledge or to create knowledge and disseminate knowledge by giving lectures. Now, who is a researcher? One who is keen in learning, knowing about something that interests him or her. A researcher must acknowledge that he or she knows very little and there is so much to learn. Unless and until you realize this, that you don't know anything about the subject or you know very little, only then you have the desire to learn in depth. Urge to learn more, non-judgmental, open-hearted attitude towards research. In research, you should always be non-judgmental. You should not predict beforehand that you are going to get it. Maybe what you are thinking, you get entirely different thing. So in research, one should be non-judgmental, open-hearted attitude towards research, giving priority to truth and research before your personal comfort and conveniences, having patience and perseverance in research. Maybe that you can get the desired result within a day, maybe that you do not get the desired result even after doing number of years. So you must have the patience. Complete commitment to research area. Once you have decided that you are going to work in this particular area, after consulting number of things which we will discuss it later, you have to focus on that particular area, that is complete commitment to research area. Once you have zeroed down on a particular area of research, you must be totally committed to that topic and stop moving around in different areas of research. This is important because as you go deeper and deeper into one particular field of research, your line of thinking develops in a particular way, and the moment you change your field, your thinking has to again realign with that new area. Say, for example, you have decided to work in a particular area, you have consulted a lot of literature, you have discussed a lot of people, but if you change, then again you have to do all these things afresh. For example, if you want to dig a well to have a water, and say, for example, you dig 10 feet, but you did not get it. You dig 12 feet, you did not get it at different place. But if you dig 15 feet, you get sufficient water. So if you want to dig a well for water, then you need to dig deep at one place and not small pits at many places. The same way, you need to focus on your research area rather than just moving around. Research is not just only doing and finding new things or discoveries, but it is a training how to tackle a new problem. Particularly in PhD program, we expect that the student and the supervisor both, they will contribute something new. But if, for example, you are not able to discover something new or you are not able to find out something new, it's you should not be disappointed. Our purpose is to train you how to tackle a new problem. So the training which is given during the PhD work is a training to tackle a new problem. Wherever you go, that may be a new, but if you are trained to tackle new problem, you can solve it, you can tackle it. Make research your journey and not just your goal. In research, there are a number of questions which are to be answered. Say, for example, what, when, where, who, how, why. All these questions are asked, are associated in research, and you have to answer by doing research all these questions. Now, when you start doing research, you make certain assumptions in the form of hypothesis that you believe, if you have some background, you believe that probably if you start doing like that, or if you start in this way, you may achieve the goal. That is a type of hypothesis. This is an educated guess based upon observation. It is a rational explanation of a single event are phenomenon based upon what is observed but which has not been proved. A hypothesis is basically an educated guess. It is a possible answer to the problem or question. Now, it is just a possible answer. It may be correct or it may be incorrect also. A hypothesis is testable and falsifiable. You can prove it or otherwise. A hypothesis is an explanation for a phenomenon which can be tested in some way which ideally either proves or disproves the hypothesis. For the duration of testing, the hypothesis is taken to be true, and the goal of the researcher is to rigorously test the terms of the hypothesis. When the hypothesis passes the test, it is adopted as a theory or thesis, as it correctly explains a range of phenomena, but it can at any time be falsified by new experimental evidence or by new theory. Now, there are basically four sources for developing a hypothesis: theoretical or conceptual framework, academic literature, institutional and personal experience, previous research. Based on all these, you can develop a hypothesis. There are different types of hypotheses: simple and complex hypothesis, null and research hypothesis, directional and non-directional hypothesis, associated and causal hypothesis. Directional hypothesis, it specifies not only the existence but also the expected direction of the relationship between variables. Different variables are there in research and it predicts how it can be correlated. Directional hypothesis states the nature of the relationship between two or more variables, such as positive, negative, or no relationship. To express the direction of relationship between variables, the direction terms are used to state the hypothesis, such as positive, negative, less, more, increased, decreased, greater, higher, lower, etc. It is the component of directional hypothesis. Non-directional hypothesis, just reverse, it reflects the relationship between two or more variables, but it does not specify the anticipated direction and nature of relationship such as positive or negative. It indicates the existence of relationship between the variables. For example, there is a relationship between years of nursing experience and job satisfaction amongst nurses. Associative hypothesis. It reflects a relationship between variables that exist in natural setting without manipulation. This hypothesis is used to correlational research studies. It predicts relationship among variables but not the type of relationship. Causal hypothesis. It predicts the cause and effect relationship because in causal, cause and effect is there between two or more dependent and independent variables in experimental or interventional setting where independent variable is manipulated by research to examine the effect on the dependent variable. The causal hypothesis reflects the measurement dependent variable to examine the effect of dependent variable which is manipulated by the researcher. Null hypothesis, S0, it is a very common hypothesis. It is also known as the statistical hypothesis and is used for statistical testing and interpretation of statistical outcome. It states the existence of no relationship between the independent and dependent variable. Research hypothesis H1, it states the existence of relationship between two or more variables. Now, as I pointed out, hypothesis is nothing but different type of educational guess. You can correlate your result in different ways. Then before you start doing research, you have to formulate a design. Of course, you have to develop a hypothesis, then you have to formulate a design how to proceed. Good research design is the first rule of good research. Decisions regarding what, where, when, how much, by what means concerning an inquiry or a research study constitute a research design. As I showed you in some of the slides, there are a number of questions which are to be answered during the course of research. Those questions should be taken into account in making the research design. Good research practice begins with problem selection and research design. That is, for doing a good quality research, the choice of the problem and the design, research design, they are very important component. The proposed research should address questions, the answers to which will contribute new knowledge, solve challenges, correct errors in the existing literature, or develop new methods for conducting such research. A research design, a good research design involves involving a good documented plan outlining the objectives, roles, and responsibilities. Research builds upon the work of others who must be properly identified and their contributions appropriately acknowledged. It locates the proposed research in the broader research and landscape, provides insight into identifying data sources and research methods, and lays out a rigorous and systematic approach in analyzing and synthesizing the evidence to support the research claim. Knowledge of the needed research design allows advanced planning so that the project may be conducted in less time and typically at a cost saving due to efficiencies gained in pre-planning. Now here there are a number of questions which are to be taken care while designing, while research designing. What is the study about? Why is the study being made? Where will the study be carried out? Where can the required data be found? How will the data be analyzed? What techniques of data collection will be used? What periods of time will the study include? What will be the sample design? All these questions should be taken into account for making a research design. Types of research. There are different type of research. I will not discuss in detail, just I will give the name. Descriptive research, exploratory research, analytical research, applied research, basic research, quantitative research, qualitative research, conceptual research, and non-scientific method. Even in scientific research, we use some non-scientific methods also. Significance of research. What is the significance? According to famous Hudson maxim, all progress is born of inquiry. Doubt is often better than overconfidence, for it leads to inquiry, and inquiry leads to invention. It brings out the significance of research, increased amount of which makes progress possible. Research encourages scientific and inductive thinking, besides promoting the development of logical habits of thinking and organization. Now, for PhD program, many people do not understand in reality what PhD is. PhD is Doctor of Philosophy, abbreviated or written as PhD. It is a common terminology or common way of writing PhD, PH dot D dot. It is also written somewhere as PhD, D dot Phil dot D Phil or D Phil. For the Latin philosophia, doctor or doctor philosophia, it is a Latin word. In English-speaking countries, is postgraduate academic degree awarded by university. Now you see that. PhD degree is a postgraduate degree in almost all the English-speaking countries or even some other countries also. As far as its nomenclature, DPhil is written. As far as I remember, nowhere in the world except Allahabad University awards DPhil degree. Allahabad University, I think, is the only university in the world which awards DPhil, even when it was a state university, and this process continued even after becoming a central university. And secondly, no university gives a grade to the PhD degree. It is just a PhD degree, except one country, that is Germany. Germany gives grades, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. Grade 1 is the excellent, the best out of all. Grade 4 is the worst. What German professors say, grade 4 is just equivalent to pass, and they can use the word doctor before their name. They can write PhD, but on the basis of grade 4 PhD, nobody will get job in Germany. If you are going to get a job on the basis of PhD degree, and if you have got grade 4, then you will not get the job. The German consider equivalent to fail, but they just pass. The academic level of degrees known as doctorates of philosophy varies considerably according to the country, institution and time period, from entry-level research degrees to higher doctorates. Now you see that the quality of PhD varies from different countries with different institutions. Now in India, if you leave the institutions like IIT, ISCAS, IIM, etc., those which are not directly controlled by University Grants Commission, other institutions, universities or colleges, they follow the guideline given by UGC, and UGC from time to time suggests something for improvement of the PhD quality. Say for example, it is UGC which introduced the pre-PhD coursework before you start your research for PhD degree. Now, for the last 2 years, they have also introduced or suggested to introduce 2 courses, each of 2 credits. One is research and publication ethics, and the other is pedagogy. At Sharda University, we have adopted. I don't know in the other part of the country whether they have adopted or not, but many of the universities have adopted this research and publication ethics of 2 credits, but many have not adopted till date course on pedagogy. A person who attains a doctorate may be referred to as a doctor. Now, sometimes there is a confusion about the word philosophy. Some people think that philosophy is the subject. In social science, there is a subject philosophy. And the question very often asked, why not you say doctor in chemistry, doctor in physics, doctor in medicine, like that? In the context of academic degree, the term philosophy does not refer solely to the field of philosophy, but is used in a broader sense in accordance with its original Greek meaning, which is love of wisdom. The Greek meaning of philosophy is love of wisdom. Love and pursuit of wisdom by intellectual means and moral self-discipline is philosophy. Investigation of the nature, causes, or principles of reality, knowledge, or values based on logical reasoning rather than empirical methods. The critical analysis of fundamental assumption of belief, a set of ideas and beliefs relating to a particular field or activity and underlying theory, general laws or principles under which all the subordinate phenomena or facts relating to that subject are comprehended is philosophy. Philosophy is not just a subject. In most of the universities in our country, the PhD program is followed in these steps: admission as per UGC guideline, admission through interest test followed by interview. Then each PhD program has to conduct pre-PhD coursework from 14 to 18 credit from one semester to two semester. And in that, one paper, at least one course at least of 4 credit must be on research methodology, which will have a component of computer. Then in some places, after you complete the coursework, now here at Sharda University, we allow the student to pass when he or she gets 6.0 CGPA, that is when 60%. After that, comprehensive viva voice examination is conducted, but in UP, I don't think that most of the universities, they conduct comprehensive viva after the coursework. Then approval of the research plan, different bodies for monitoring research, progress report, residency period, criteria of submission of thesis, evaluation of thesis, declaration of result. I think in every university there is a PhD ordinance, and based on that provisions of the PhD ordinance, the PhD program is run. DSc or DLIT, it is a on-risk CASA degree, and this is given by university to some renowned personalities working in a particular area. Some key questions during PhD: how to do scientific research, how to plan and manage a research project, how to publish result, is it important or is it necessary, how to plan my thesis, how are research results assessed. All these questions are to be taken account while doing the PhD. If you are doing research for PhD degree, a suitable supervisor is needed. That is the most important component for a student to carry out research work for the PhD degree. Say, I always quote to students, if I have done my PhD under a Nobel laureate, I'll never tell my name that I am N.B.Singh. I will always refer that I have been a student of Nobel laureate so and so. So choice of a supervisor is very important. Before jumping into the unknown, remember that your supervisor will be your guide. One of the most critical decisions. What qualities should be there in your supervisor? Is an expert in the area you selected, is internationally recognized in the area, is well connected in the international scientific arena, is willing and able to promote your work at conference and the like, is active research publication wise, has previous supervision experience, is interested in the topic you selected, can provide research facilities, is willing to fight the system for you. Will you be integrated in a group? Do you want your co-supervision, personal chemistry? All these qualities should be there in your supervisor. Relationship of the student with a supervisor. Scientific and methodological guidance, suggestions and assessment, reassurance support, policing technical writing, resource hosting sub-project, contact social networking, facilities, facilitator to access scientific channels, experience, mentor, friend, confidant, advisor, and also a voice of reason. All these qualities should be in the supervisor. But at the same time, there must be number of qualities in the student also, researcher also. hard work, enthusiasm, labor resource for project, etc., generation of experimental results, contribution to publication, contribution to project proposals at a later stage. Now, the PhD thesis must be substantial original contribution to the knowledge or understanding of any field of study and demonstrate the capacity of the candidates to conceive, design, and carry to completion independent research. The doctoral candidate should uncover new knowledge either by the discovery of new facts, the formulation of theories, or the innovative reinterpretation of known data and established ideas. In particular, the thesis should demonstrate that the candidate has surveyed literature relevant to the thesis, skills in gathering and analyzing of information and report presentation, demonstrated a critical, perceptive, and constructive analysis of the subject, carried out original and significant research in the field. Keywords are needed. Now, PhD objective. The PhD degree is awarded to those candidates. Hello. The PhD degree is awarded to those candidates that show the capacity for a systematic understanding of his her specialization area, skills and clear mastery of the. Will you mute, please? I request you to mute, please. Aptitude for contributing to widen the knowledge frontiers through the development of a significant amount of original research, capacity to analyze with a critical spirit to evaluate and to synthesize new and complex ideas, capacity to communicate, capacity to promote. All these should be the objective of your PhD. Now, if we consider basic research, basic research is out of curiosity, and this is responsible for increasing the knowledge, amount of knowledge. Based on this knowledge, we go for applied research, that is advancement of technology. And once you advance the technology, then you think of application development, that is utility of application. And once you develop a device, utility application, this is for the improvement of the quality of life, social life, it is for the society. Now, there are different steps which one should follow in carrying out the research: choice of a problem, review of literature, hypothesis methodology, collection of data, interpretation of data, and conclusions. Now, choice of problem, as I have said earlier, is one of the most important questions. Ask significant questions that can be answered empirically. The formulation of a problem is often more essential than its solution, which may be merely a matter of mathematical or experimental skill. To raise new questions, new possibilities, to regard old questions from a new angle requires creative imagination and marks real advance in science. The research questions must be asked in a way that allows for empirical investigation. Now, in order to choose a problem, it is just like, where do we go from here? Let us say you are here and you have to think. You are a beginner, you don't know the path. In research also, how to proceed, you don't know it. So the question is, where do we go from here? Research problem is like an identification of destination before undertaking research journey. Now, sources of research problem. How do you choose the research problem? Theory of one's own interest, practical experience, daily problem, previous research, existing theories, technological changes, unexplored area, discussion with supervisor and other known people. Consideration in selecting a research problem, you must take into account your own interest, magnitude of the work which has been done, concept measures, expertise, relevance, data availability, and ethics. All these should be taken into account when you are going to decide a problem for your research. Formulation of a research problem. How do you formulate the problem? Identify broad field of subject area of your interest. Then dissect the broad area into sub area. Then select what is of most interest to you. Raise the research question. Then formulate the objective. Assess your objective and double check for sufficient interest. May I request to mute, please? Hello. May I request to mute you? Should I stop my lecture?
Dr. Sandeep, please mute your mic.
Host can mute everybody. Host can mute everybody.
अरे डॉक्टर सुशील सभी को म्यूट कर दो ना सर के अलावा.
हेलो सर के छोड़ के सबको म्यूट कर दीजिए सर.
दिया सर, म्यूट कर दिया.
Okay. Now, literature review. Literature review is one of the most important components when you are going to do research work. Now, checklist for information for scientific literature review, what you should check. Is the information reliable? Is the information error-free? Is the information factual? Is the information verifiable? What are the professional credentials of the author? Does the author have the subject matter expertise on the topic? Is the information relevant? Is a clear destination made between fact and option? Because in order to is a clear distinction made between facts and opinions? Is the information biased? Is the information current? Does the information meet current needs? Does the information provide in-depth coverage? That is, when you are searching in literature, all these aspects should be examined by you. Now, there are a number of questions. When you start literature review, questions that can be answered by literature review. What are the major issues and debate about the research problem? Are there gaps in knowledge of the subject? How can I bridge the gap? What directions, methodology are indicated by the work of other researchers? What are the key theories, concepts, and ideas known about the subject? What is the chronology of the development of knowledge about my research problem? Whether the research questions already has been answered by someone else. Similarly, many other questions are there. So when you do a literature survey, you ask these questions, search the answer of these questions from your literature available, but the literature which you are going to search must be reliable. That is, if you are consulting a research journal, the research journal must be published by some known publishing agencies. Say, for example, if the journal is published by Elsevier, Springer, American Society, all are reliable journals. Now the question is, what is literature review? An overview of previous research on your research topic. A literature review is an evaluative report of studies found in the literature related to your selected area, a comprehensive review of all published research that is relevant to your proposed investigation and guided by your research objective. The review should describe, summarize, evaluate, and clarify this literature. It should give a theoretical basis for the research and help you determine the nature of your own research. While the form of the literature review may vary with different types of study, the basic purpose remains constant. Purpose of the literature review: before we can create new knowledge, we must first know the current state of knowledge about research subject. It is always essential that you should not repeat the same which has already been done, and that can be obtained only by literature review. Effective researchers will use knowledge and insights of others and draw on elements of prior research. In the literature review, the task is to learn as much as you can from the efforts and work of others, which is published in the scientific literature. Convey the depth and breadth of research that has been accomplished on a subject. Identify important issue and link to hypothesis. Identify key areas of missing knowledge. Describe methodologies and existing data sets used. Helps you learn everything about your subject. Ensures that you are not reinvestigating the field. Helps you learn about the people in the field. Highlight flaws in previous research, outline gaps in previous research, so that the work is adding to the understanding and knowledge of the field, help refine, refocus, or even change the topic. All these things should be taken into account before you start doing. Now, these are the questions you must keep in your mind while doing the literature review. What is known about the subject? Are there any gaps in the knowledge of the subject? Have areas of further study been identified by other researchers that you may want to consider? Who are the significant research personalities in this area? Is there consensus about the topic? What aspects have generated significant debate on the topic? What methods or problems were identified by others studying in the field, and how might they impact your research? What is the most productive methodology for your research based on the literature you have reviewed? What is the current status of research in this area? What sources of information or data were identified that might be useful to you? All these questions you must take into account while doing the literature review. Now, how to do a literature review? Define the research topic, compile and prioritize a list of keywords, identify sources of information, read, evaluate, analyze all the work, discuss findings and conclusions with others important for understanding context, gaps in previous research, divide works into supportive and antithetical positions, identify relationships between works in the literature, articulate how these apply to your research. Not all literature should be included in the review. Also include similar publications by research foundations and international organizations while doing a literature survey. While doing the literature survey, there may be a number of pitfalls also. Be very careful to check your sources when doing your literature review. As I have just pointed out, the publication journals, they must have been published by good publishing agencies. Many trade magazines are not peer reviewed. Say, for example, you purchase a magazine at the railway station and there is some article you consider that it is a new thing. May not be new thing because this is not reviewed. Professional conferences and journals often have each article reviewed by multiple people before it is even recommended for publication. IEEE and ACM digital libraries are good places to start looking for legitimate research. Say, for example, for scientific research, you can find a lot of literature on sciencedirect.com, and they are very much reliable. The internet can be a good source of information, but at the same time, it is also full of pseudoscience and poor research. So you should not rely only on the data available from internet, that is from google.com. If you search, you may have an idea, but you should not rely unless it is confirmed by some reliable data. Following sources be consulted: scopus.com, delnet, science direct. All these are the reliable sources. Search aids: what type of searches is from where you do? Books, good books, means published by good publishing agencies. Journals, again, good publishing. Conference papers, again, all should be reliable. Only then you can have this one. Standard search aids include indexes, abstracts, and bibliographies. These search tools are located in the research library, and many new are computerized. So all these you can get from the library. What are journal metrics? You see that today we always talk of quality of journal. And quality of journal means metrics. That is whether it is SCI index, whether it is Scopus index, whether it is ISI index, whether it is this Thomson Reuters index, it is Web of Science index. All these are very reliable, and these journal metrics measure the performance and or impact of a scholarly journal. If journal is, if your particular journal is Scopus index, certainly the quality of the journal is high. Of course, there are different impact factor, different quartiles, but even then, if it is indexed in Scopus, you can consider as a good journal. Each metric has its own particular features, but in general, they all aim to provide ranking and insight into journal performance based on citation analysis. If the paper published in a particular journal is cited many times, then we consider that it is a good journal. They start from the basic premise that a citation to a paper is a form of endorsement, and the most basic analysis can be done by simply counting the number of citations that a particular paper attracts. More citations to a specific paper means that more people consider that paper to be important. Citations to journals can also be counted. The Science Citation Index is a citation index originally produced by the Institute of Scientific Information, that is ISI. Now there are basically 8 steps, and all 8 steps are divided into number of components. That is formulating a research question, a research problem based on a review, then research design, instruments for data collection, selecting a sample, research protocol writing, data collection, data processing, research report, and all these things. On the basis of research report, discussion, etc., then you have the conclusion, and then you go for publication, that is principle of scientific writing, all these only after the research report. Research is hard. All research involves risk. If you project can't fail, it is development, not research. Along your career, you will accumulate a lot of failures. Even the apparently successful researchers accumulate many failures. Research always takes much longer time, much longer than it initially seems. Crucial to success is making your research part of your everyday life. Think about your research in background mode all the time. You will find that your rate of progress seems to vary a lot. Sometimes no progress at all. At other times, you get stuck and feel like you can't do anything for a long time. Fear of failure can make work hard and discouraged. You are aiming a PhD, not a Nobel Prize at this time. So therefore, you must not be disheartened if you are failing. How should you work? All these, you know that how should you work? What is a scientific paper? You see that after you have conducted experiment, you started all those things, then you want to publish. In science and engineering, publication of a research paper is a very important component. A scientific paper is a written and published report describing original research results. It must be the first publication of original research results in a form whereby peers of the author can repeat the experiment and test the conclusions, and in a journal or other source document readily available within the scientific community. Now, in science, the credit goes to the man who convinces the world, not to the man to whom the idea first occurs. Knowledge is lost without written records. Knowledge is awareness or understanding of someone or something, such as informations, descriptions, or skills which is acquired through experience or education by discovering or learning. Now, when you write a paper, different journals have different style, different guideline for the authors, but the most of the journals follow this. You have to write the title. Title should be eye-catching. It should be attracting, so that just by seeing the title, people are tempted to read it. Then the name of the author, affiliations of the author, abstract, keywords, introduction, materials and methods, results and discussion, conclusion, acknowledgement, and references. This is the common way how to write a research paper, but this may vary a little bit from journal to journal. Now there are different type of research articles. You have the research paper. Research paper means what you have done, original work. If you want to publish your original work in a small form, 3-4 pages, then letters. If you want to publish a comprehensive literature available in the literature, that is a review article, all these different type of articles are there. Ethical issues in research. You see that in research, one should be ethical. Ethical is nothing but honesty. Honesty, we say always, honesty is the best policy. International scientific ethics have evolved over centuries and are commonly held throughout the world. Scientific ethics are not considered to have national variant or characteristic. There is a single ethical standard for science. Ethics problem with scientific articles are on the rise globally. Non-ethical work is increasing day by day. One should stop it. Proper citation of the earlier work, that is plagiarism. Seek permission for reproduction. Due acknowledgement to source is essential. Now, principles of research ethics, justice. Researchers should not place one group of people at risk solely for the benefit of others. Risk and benefits should be distributed in an equitable manner when recruiting participants. Respect. Respect for research participants, respect for the sponsors of research, respect for communities where participants come from, respect for knowledge and academic community. For all these, a researcher should have a respect. Benefits must be weighed against potential risks that a person might have by participating. Research should only be justified if its conduct and result will be a benefit to the society. How the community will benefit should be clear from the research protocol. Beneficence, the researcher is responsible for the mental, physical, and social well-being of the participant. That by doing that, it should be like that. Plagiarism, be original and don't plagiarize. Academic theft is plagiarism. Now it is increasing day by day. Plagiarism is the appropriation of another person's ideas, process, results, or words without giving appropriate credit, including those obtained through confidential review of others' research proposals and manuscripts. Plagiarism in practice, any of the following can be plagiarized: words, ideas, diagrams, figures and tables, computer programs, finding, writing information, lectures, presentation, printed material, electronic material, all these are being plagiarized. One should avoid it. Copyright, copying word by word is plagiarism, paraphrasing is plagiarism, text recycling, self-plagiarism. Plagiarism is easily detected, but also easily avoided. Now there are number of software at Sharda University. We do not allow any student to submit any thesis unless the similarity is below 10%. And we have turned it in software, which is a very good software for detecting the plagiarism. PhD thesis. What is PhD thesis? At the end, the student want to submit PhD, want to get a degree. Now, in the words of Professor P. Balram, Professor P. Balram was director, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and he was the editor of Current Science magazine, a research journal. And in 2004, he wrote, PhD degree is a passport to a research career. The PhD period often influences a research scholar to make or to break in a scientific career. Here one reaches the frontier of knowledge and begins in earnest the lifelong task of learning how to do research.
Recording stopped.
As pointed out by Besley,
Recording in progress.
as pointed out by Besley and Jones during PhD course, ideally one learn how to pick a research problem, how to carry out it, how to extract new information from the result, and how to publish the findings to the scientific community. Thesis or PhD research inherently involves those aspects of subject that cannot be actually learned from textbook or from lecture courses. It is the point where the values, traditions, and styles of science are transmitted from one generation to another generation. What is a PhD thesis? A PhD dissertation is a report of the entire work done by a researcher to a university or an institution for the award of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The central element of a PhD education is the doctoral thesis, that is, the PhD dissertation. It is an apprenticeship in how to do research and form the unique part of PhD degree course. A PhD dissertation is a lengthy, original, and substantial document. It should contain original contributions. Essentially, the role of a PhD dissertation is to demonstrate the research person's original thinking and contribution to the topic of research. It should also clearly point out the research competence of the researcher in his research field. A MPhil dissertation is designed as a practice for PhD thesis. Although UGC has dismantled the PhD program, it will help the researcher learn and understand the present status of the topic and make him capable of working at the PhD level. Now, there are certain rules which the researcher must follow when doing PhD or when doing research. See failure as a beginning, not an end. Never stop learning. Assume nothing, question everything, discuss with others what you know. Analyze objectively, practice humility, respect constructive criticism, take initiative, love what you do or what you know. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful
wonderful session. Now the floor is open for any queries or any questions from the participants. So participants, you can unmute yourself and ask your queries if you have any. You can write in the chat box also.
Dr. Yadav sir, kindly allow to mute himself. Yes.
Sure. So now we have allowed. So you can unmute yourself. So participants are sharing their feedbacks. Actually, really it was a very informative session as well as comprehensive also. So if you have any doubt, so Professor N.B.Singh sir is with us. He is a renowned researcher. So you can ask. Okay. So some questions are in the chat box, sir. Dr. C.L. Moria is asking, why students are not given sole opportunity to choose his or her guide?
I think as per UGC guideline, the choice of the student is taken into account while deciding the supervisor. Of course, the supervisors are allotted by the committee of the university, but the choice of the student is taken into a consideration. If anywhere it is not being practiced, it should be practiced.
Dr. Bindu.
Yeah, Dr. Bindu, you want to say something?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, madam.
Sir,
Yeah, please.
very comprehensive this this PPTs and lecture all. Sir, I want to ask one question. Sir, if we are making that this questionnaire or any interview schedule, whatever we need for our this research this tool, and then we are going through this all review of literature. So there we see that all, and we are making of our own this questionnaire or this interview schedule or observation schedule or checklist, whatever we need for research data. Is it necessary? We have to take permission from that person where we are getting that tool.
You see that if you are going to publish or you have published some new data, and if I am going to make use of that data, I must take your permission. Normally, copyright permission lies with the journals. In most of the cases, I would say 99% cases, the copyright lies with the journal. So if you want to make use of those data, those figure or something,
it's not data,
you
it's not
must take a copyright permission.
actually,
Normally, most of the journals, they give copyright permission for academic purpose.
sir, it's not like that data we need. Just if their tool we are using, if they hello.
Yeah, one by one, please
One
ask
by
one
one.
by one. Either you can write in the chat box.
Dr. Yadav sir, kindly allow to one by one, and they may ask questions. Yes. By name.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
Hello.
Yeah,
yes,
please go on.
सर एक्चुअली मैं ये पूछना चाहती हूँ जैसे कोई अपना मतलब जैसे वो अपना डेटा जैसे उन्होंने दिया होता है डेटा से हमें कुछ नहीं मिला जैसे वो दिए होते हैं
आपकी बात समझ में नहीं आ रही है डॉक्टर यादव, क्या आप बता सकते हैं क्या कह रही हैं मैडम?
We are not also unable to understand what they really want to say. Because there is some.
I want to say if someone is writing this questionnaire, data collection, everything is there. We don't want that data, but if we want to use that questionnaire, is it necessary to take permission from them, from that person?
नहीं, क्वेश्चनर आप दूसरे का इस्तेमाल करना चाहती हैं? हाँ?
Yes sir, yes sir.
तो दूसरे का क्यों करना चाहती हैं? आप अपना बनाइए। दूसरे
So
का बनाया हुआ आप इस्तेमाल करेंगी तो उसको तो खराब लगेगा ना, इसलिए परमिशन तो लेना पड़ेगा ना।
वही मैं कहती हूँ कि
अगर क्वेश्चनर ऑलरेडी पब्लिश्ड है कहीं पर,
इट इज पब्लिश्ड सर,
हाँ, तब आपको परमिशन लेना चाहिए। नहीं तो बाद में वो कंप्लेन कर देगा कि मेरी चोरी करके लिया है, तो आपको फायदा के बजाय आपका नुकसान हो जाएगा।
Sir, usually
you are right. You are absolutely right, sir, because there are certain fields like psychology and in medical also. So there are well defined questionnaire also. They are generally used by the researcher. But you have to give the reference or cite that you have taken the questionnaire from that paper and all. Yes.
You can reframe in your own way.
Yes.
Sir, there is a question. Yeah, Asma ji, please give the others chance also. You can write in the chat box. Someone is asking what is the difference between thesis and dissertation. So
कोई difference नहीं है. There is no difference.
There is no difference. Okay, so this hypothesis testing, it will be covered in the upcoming sessions when we will cover the statistics part. So please have the patience. And yeah, we will provide the recording also, so don't worry about that. Okay, so someone is asking, UGC has cancelled PhD program. You said, sir, why?
अब UGC ने कैंसिल नहीं किया है। उन्होंने कहा है कि असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर के अपॉइंटमेंट के लिए जो 2022 में कंपलसरी कर दिया था, उसको अभी टाल दिया है।
जी, लेटेस्ट को देखते हुए अभी जो 22 में अभी फ्रेम मतलब है, इट इज अंडर प्रोसेस। तो
गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया रिसर्च को प्रमोट करना चाहती है, इसीलिए पीएचडी को करना चाहती थी। क्योंकि अभी हमारे पास इतने पीएचडी नहीं हैं कि सबको इतने पीएचडी का मतलब कि अच्छे किस्म की पीएचडी करने वाले लोग, इसलिए इसको फॉर द टाइम बीइंग टाल दिया गया है।
This concept paper is same as synopsis?
नहीं, concept paper different है, synopsis तो थोड़ा अलग है। synopsis में अलग-अलग जगहों पर अलग-अलग नाम है। जैसे आप रिसर्च शुरू करने के पहले जो करते हैं, कुछ जगहों पर synopsis कहते हैं, कुछ जगहों पर रिसर्च प्लान कहते हैं। लेकिन जब थीसिस जमा करते हैं तो कुछ लोग जो शॉर्ट फॉर्म में देते हैं उसको एब्स्ट्रैक्ट कहते हैं, कुछ लोग उसको सिनॉप्सिस कहते हैं। सिनॉप्सिस इज जस्ट अ समरी ऑफ द एंटायर वर्क, और रिसर्च प्लान जिसको हम कहते हैं उसमें डिटेल कि आप कैसे अपना रिसर्च करेंगे, व्हाट इज योर ऑब्जेक्टिव, व्हाट आर द रिसर्च गैप्स, व्हाट आर द रिसर्च क्वेश्चंस एंड व्हाट इज योर एक्सपेक्टेड आउटकम।
So I think if anybody want to say something, and this some specific topic specific will be covered in the upcoming session.
हेलो सर, मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
आ रही है।
आवाज आ रही है।
क्या ये जो पीएचडी कोर्स वर्क होता है किसी यूनिवर्सिटी का, मान लो मैंने दूसरे यूनिवर्सिटी का पीएचडी कोर्स किया ऑनलाइन, तो वो पीएचडी कोर्स वहाँ पे
ट्रांसफर हो जाता है।
मान लो
देखिए,
या मान
मैं
लो
आपकी बात समझ गया, मैं आपकी बात फकीर साहब,
हाँ जी,
मैं आपकी
हाँ
बात
जी
समझ
सर,
गया। जैसे मान लीजिए लखनऊ यूनिवर्सिटी 16 क्रेडिट का कोर्स चला रही है
जी सर,
और आपने 8 क्रेडिट का कोर्स पास किया है,
जी सर,
तो जो 8 क्रेडिट है उतना ट्रांसफर हो जाएगा, बाकी 8 क्रेडिट का आपको और करना होगा।
जी सर, जी सर, जी सर, जी सर, जी सर। वो गुजरात यूनिवर्सिटी वाले पीएचडी कोर्स चला रहे, मैंने सोचा उनका कर मैं आगे जा सकता हूँ क्या, ऐसा किया था मैंने।
उनका कितने क्रेडिट का कोर्स है? उनका कितने क्रेडिट का
वो
कोर्स है?
16 क्रेडिट का कोर्स।
हाँ, तो
16
स्टैंडर्ड
क्रेडिट का कोर्स है।
16 तो स्टैंडर्ड है।
जी जी, और एक मुझे क्वेश्चन पूछना है, पूछ दूं सर?
क्या?
जी सर, जी सर। और एक क्वेश्चन है मेरे मन में, ये जो एमफिल है अभी, एमफिल अभी बंद हो रहा है, मगर कहीं अभी एमफिल का कुछ उपयोग होगा क्या हमारे प्रमोशन के लिए सर, एमफिल कोर्स का?
अब देखिए, इस समय जो न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी अब लागू होने जा रही है, उसमें एमफिल को तो कोई तवज्जो नहीं दिया गया है।
अच्छा अच्छा, ओके सर, ओके, जी सर, जी सर, जी सर, थैंक यू।
Most of the universities are closing their MPhil courses, like Delhi University. Recently, they have closed their MPhil programs because if there is no further opportunity or any progress, then why you will waste your 2 years or 1 year's time. So okay, so Prashanta Kumar, we will talk about the plagiarism. We have a separate session on that, so don't worry about that. So if you have any research specific any query, because sir is very senior, so you can ask your queries regarding your research activities and all even for the research project. Yeah, review of literature is also covered, so will be covered, so don't worry about that. Today is the first day, so have patience. So if you have any particular query regarding this particular session, please ask. Data collection, data analysis, they all are the separate session. We will cover all these things.
Today I have just given the overview.
Yes, yes.
Ryan Chandra, I think you want to ask.
So I think Dr. Singh.
Yes, yes.
I think today's for a specific course, they don't have any. Yeah. Book chapter in edited book, someone is asking.
What book chapter?
Yeah, just a minute.
Kindly read the questions.
Okay, book chapter in edited book and chapter in textbook. What is the difference in assessment?
Yeah, you see, I don't know about the UGC guideline, but in many places, book chapters are not considered as a contribution towards research, although it is a contribution, but many universities do not take into consideration. Now, if it is in a textbook or in a written book, if in a textbook also there are number of authors written different chapters, it is also a written book. It is not a textbook.
In API for like some marks are also assigned for the chapter in edited book, like 2.5 marks as
UGC guideline. I don't have any idea.
Yes, yes. So
at least
okay,
in my
so,
university, we do not give any weightage for PhD thesis.
Okay, sir. So Akhtar, we are also going to cover some statistical techniques also in the data analysis session. So don't worry about that. So I think for today's session it's sufficient, and sir has given you overview or a brief start about the research. So you can think in many directions, that what is the research and how it can be done and what are the different issues. And we will cover all the remaining parts like literature review, data analysis, plagiarism, data collection. So it will be covered in our later sessions. So thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful and very informative session. And I'm sure that participants have get benefited from it because they have shown through the chat box. So thank you so much, sir, for being with us. So Dr. Singh, you want to say something?
The sessions may be closed, and all the questions has been answered by sir. And if you have any doubt, you can mail and we will forward to sir, and he will reply to you. So you don't need to worry about your questions. You may mail in our official mail sciencetech487@gmail.com, and I will forward to sir, and sir reply to, and I will forward to also.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for being with us and sharing your knowledge and experience. So thanks to all the participants. So we will meet tomorrow. Thanks to all. Good night.
Good night, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, ma'am. Good night. Good
Good
night,
night,
sir.
sir. Good night, everyone.